Captains of all ages, customs, and creeds. I am your host, USS Endeavor, and welcome aboard the Tier 7 Tech Tree Italian cruiser, the Amalfi. So we're going to take a look at her and see how she performs. This is a very interesting game. And a little spoiler, you're going to see some ships that go up against each other that you quite frankly almost never see. So stick around. It's going to be a great game. So yeah, let's take a look at the commander, shall we? We are using the who's this? Francesco Mimbelli. Looks like he kicked Cincinnati out of the helm's chair, and he is taking the helm as the Agile Cruiser Commander. That's right, we are going Agile with Amalfi, and he's going to help us do it. So if you've seen Hipper videos, you pretty much know what this build is. But if you haven't, Mimbelli, who is the Agile Cruiser Commander, with the inspirations as Rune and Baltimore, which unfortunately are pay-for commanders, but they help with the rudder shift and the turret traverse speed. Moving on, we have all the usual perks of Ingenious, full speed ahead, Velocious, steer clear, and fully packed. So you can take a look at those, but if you've seen any Hipper videos, very similar. Onto the mod selections, we have Aiming Systems Mod 1, which you could use the turret traverse to help steering gears in the first and, spoiler alert, in the second slot, or in the third slot as well. So double steering gears really helps bring the rudder shift down. And then the final one, we have Main Battery Mod 3, because like the rest of the cruisers in this line, the reload is abysmal. And make sure you equip the SAP shells. On to the consumables, which we get an extra of because that is what Fully Packed gives you. You get 3 exhaust smoke generators as opposed to 2, and you get 4 planes as opposed to 3. 3 heals as well, doesn't hurt. On to the survivability, 42,800 hit points, which is pretty average for the tier, 19% torpedo damage reduction, and we'll take a look at the armor here in just a second. Your artillery. Your main batteries are the same 203s. However, they've changed it up just slightly. You do have 9 barrels, but there's 6 in the front and 1 in the rear with 3 turrets, 3 guns each. 14.9 second reload, essentially 15-second reload with a good 180-degree turn time. And the AP and SAP shell damage is decent. Onto your torpedoes, you have 2 quad launchers, so 8 torpedoes total, 4 on each side. They reach out to 12 kilometers, and they go a blisteringly slow 51 knots. So, and the damage is decent, but it's not the greatest. They're basically sea mines. Onto the AA defense, it's a little above average, but at this tier, a rating of 63 on this cruiser is not that great, especially since they don't start firing until 4 kilometers, so not the best. Now, on to the maneuverability, which is what we've completely spec'd into. You can see our rudder shift time is below 3 seconds at 2.7 with a 680-meter turning circle, which is actually the largest so far that we've experienced. However, because of what we've spec'd into, it shifts left and right rather well with a max speed of 42 knots. Again, we've spec'd into that. So stock, they're a little bit slower, but this makes it pretty shifty. Onto the concealment, which is what you will give up, although the concealment stock is actually not too bad. 10.9 kilometers, having not spec'd anything into it, is actually really good. It's better than average. 6.8 kilometer detection by air and a 6.3 kilometer via smoke. Got to remember that stat because of the rolling smoke. Onto the armor, you have a 25 millimeter bow and stern. You can get punched through by 15-inch shells and above. As you can see, 356 millimeters is the only thing it can bounce, but you're primarily going to be facing other calibers at this tier and higher. Onto the section right in front or behind the armor, you can see that little blue section can be punched through. However, your deck is able to bounce those 380 millimeter shells. So as long as you angle correctly and you kind of move around, they can help aid in a little bit of that protection. And then the upper belt armor can actually bounce 406 millimeter shells. So the bow can only bounce 14, the deck can bounce 15, and the upper belt can bounce 16. Your citadel is slightly above the waterline, but it's 150 millimeters on the side plating, and it is exposed. So giving flat broadside can send you back to port. and the Citadel extends from the back turret to the front turret. But the ship is kind of long. However, don't get caught broadside like in pretty much every ship in the game. All right, captains, we are in a 6v6 lobby? Huh. Well, I didn't pick this, but we're going to go with it. So, Sea of Fortune map. Got a bunch of... A Queen Elizabeth? A tier 5. What is going on here? Anyway, strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. This is a weird one, but we're going to do it. We're going to do the best we can. So, again, like I've always said in the previous videos, when you are in a reduced lobby like this, your ship impact only goes up. And what I mean by that is that what you do makes a much bigger impact, because a lot of the weight that would have fell on the other ships that are absent now fall on you and on the other players that are on your team. So as you can kind of see, the configuration was a 2-2-2 setup as far as the spawns, 2 in the left, 2 in the middle, 2 on the right, which I can only assume is the exact same over on the Reds. So if we only have to deal with 2 ships, one of them is probably going to be a battleship, the other may be a cruiser, but I think we can get in here, especially with our lower concealment. We will spot them first. Not having any destroyers is definitely going to make this match a little bit easier. And speaking of battleships, there is a Gneisenau that is way out there. Haven't shot yet because we don't want him to know that we are here. We were the ones that were spotting him. We did throw torpedoes out there. These things do reach out quite a bit, but they are very, very slow. As you can see, we're almost catching up and keeping up with our torpedoes, which is kind of crazy. But we're coming in here to the cap. We're going to go right next to this cathedral on the island. Throw more torps out there on the left-hand side. We want to nestle ourselves right in here and get right onto the cap. However, this Gneisenau is making a bum rush straight into the cap. I do have the Odin behind me that is still behind me and is going to support me on this side. However, I am now using my smoke, my rolling smoke, and just double checking my smoke fire penalty, which is 6.3. He's outside that. Perfect. We can shoot. We won't get spotted. Just like that. So as long as he stays lit, we are going to be taking these shots. We have our plane up. We throw another set of torps. We got him back. I'm not sure. These torpedoes look like they're doing really, really well. There are smoke finally lets out, unfortunately, but it looks like he's slowing down and kind of turning out, and he does a good job of dodging these really slow clunker of torpedoes. And there you saw the Suzuya. He is now coming into play. So now we have to worry about the Gneisenau and the Suzuya. It's getting a little too hot. The Gneisenau is a little too heavily armored, but these torpedoes look like they're going to connect. So we're going to get 2 hits, causing a couple floods. He is going to damage con that, so he definitely needs to be focused. We don't have HE, so we can't burn him down, but the Odin can help with that regard, and I'm hoping that he does. Here we swap to the AP because it looks like the Suzuya is going to come out flat broadside to us, and because of our maneuverability, we are going to do what we can to dodge any shells that are coming in. So the Suzuya shoots a weird spread. If you see 2 of them, two sets go there, and then 1 mid and 1 to the right. That was really weird. So he shot all around and didn't hit us, but we got a Citadel on him. Now we're turning around. We know that he's going to get another salvo off. We get another Citadel, continuing to try and keep ourselves at range against that Suzuya. Our Odin does a great job of finishing off the Gneisenau. So now we just have the Suzuya to deal with. And now he's starting to turn out, but gets a Citadel on his way out. Now that he is starting to angle out, we are going to switch to the SAP shells because our AP is going to be a little less effective. He's still sailing in a straight line. However, he is sailing straight for that island. So after this salvo, we're going to switch back to AP because he either is going to run into the island and screw up, or he's going to have to turn out and give us his broadside. And so I'm betting on the latter. And that is exactly what he does. He starts to turn out. He does have to flash that broadside, and we are going to make him pay. Hopefully RNG is with us on this shot. The shells look decent from my angle, and we do get another Citadel. However, this last shot with the last turret, you can see I kind of sneak up a little bit too much, and we're going to overshoot him with our back turret. And I kind of screwed up my aim there, and we just completely missed. And because of that shot, he's going to get away just a little bit longer than I would have liked. Now we notice that there's some other ships that are coming into the fray. And there we took a really nasty hit from those battleships that are over the island off the right-hand side. The Suzuya is trying to get out of dodge. We swap to SAP, and we take him out. So now we've got both a Kansas and a Vanguard that are basically hand in hand rolling straight into here. And I didn't realize this, but there's the Mines, who is all that's left. It's a 6v3 at this point, so I'm feeling pretty good about our chances to win. However, I can't go toe-to-toe against these two battleships. Both of them can overmatch me. The Vanguard has 15-inch shells, which will shoot right through my bow, and the Kansas has 406s, which can overmatch me practically everywhere, except for my Citadel, unless I angle correctly. So my odds of surviving here are not that great, but I do have torpedoes on both sides of my ship, and I'm thinking, well, if I'm going to go down, if I'm going to go out, let's go out with a bang. I still have my smoke, so I can make a little bit of a play where I can get in a little bit closer. They do see me. I'm able to get a fire with my secondary, and there we take a hit, but we're not spotted. So we're going to push in here. This is kind of a kamikaze play at this point, but you'll see what happens here. It's kind of funny. So pushing up here, we're not spotted yet. He does get a blind fire, right? I think he was shooting at the Odin. He does kill the Odin behind me. So now we throw our torpedoes widespread at the Vanguard. We take a blistering shot, which we knew was coming. And there the Mines is out there. We shoot just a Hail Mary of a prayer out there. Get 3 torpedo hits on the Vanguard. I'm like, at this point, I don't know how I'm going to survive. I'm going to try and ram. But I get taken out by the Mines, who is way out there pestering us. Maybe we could have gotten that off. There we get the high caliber for our crazy efforts. And if you can see in the upper right hand corner, that damage from that flood is still rolling. So I'm just kind of praying that we get him low enough so that this Colorado that's pushing into the cap, unfortunately all by himself, can actually take him out. But he doesn't have to worry about that because our flood actually takes him out. We get a flesh wound ribbon and we get the kill. However, the Kansas is still alive, and the Colorado up against the Kansas this close is not going to be ideal, especially with the Mines backing him up. However, we still have a full health Atago in the middle. We have that tier 5 battleship Queen Elizabeth that's at full health. And we have the Bismarck, who is pushing into Bravo Cap. There are 2 torpedoes magically hit the Mines that we threw out there for a prayer. So that just goes to show you, if you got them, throw them. Just throw them out there. You never know. And a lot of people forget about them, and that Mines learned the hard way. Those torpedoes go a long way, which took 18,500 damage off of that Mines, which is going to help out a little bit later. But that maneuver by the Colorado stalled the Kansas enough to be able to not take the Alpha cap, and he ends up rolling right through it. So not only do they not take Alpha, which we initially took, we were fighting for, but we end up flipping Bravo. So now we have a 3 cap to none advantage. The Atago, Queen Elizabeth, and Bismarck on our side against the Mines and the Kansas on their side. And I know I'm dead, but I wanted to show, have you ever seen a Queen Elizabeth go up against a Kansas? I know I haven't, and you're about to see it right now, which is just nuts. And you're not going to believe the outcome. So I kind of don't want to spoil it, so I'm just going to let the gameplay kind of speak for itself. The Atago, I wasn't quite sure what he was going to do. We've already got 3 caps. We're up 3 ships to 2. We have everything we need to win. We don't need to be pushing these ships. So here I am. In the moment, I was thinking, oh my gosh, this Queen Elizabeth, who's full health, that hasn't even been hit yet, is shooting HE against a Kansas that's half health, but has 12 16-inch shells. and there goes virtually half of the Queen Elizabeth's health. I'm surprised he didn't dev strike him there. But we still have the Bismarck who's pushing in. There's a mines out there still. You can see him right there. The Bismarck is going to have to focus him. The Otago's coming around the corner against this Kansas. The Queen Elizabeth is going to be taking on this Kansas. I'm like, this is dumb. We're going to lose. But then the Bismarck takes out the mines, and I'm like, okay. I feel a lot better about this now. So now I feel like even if the Queen Elizabeth dies, which I was completely expecting to happen, spoiler alert, I can't spoil, I just can't wait anymore. He doesn't die. The Queen Elizabeth does not die, and the Kansas lives. Or Kansas doesn't take him out. And there, he misses another opportunity. I don't know what's going on here. Is he getting just overpins against this thing? I was not expecting a Tier 5 Queen Elizabeth to last this long, this close against essentially a broadside Kansas. They're both essentially broadside to each other. The Kansas can overmatch that Queen everywhere. It's ridiculous, and yet he can't kill him. And I know that the Kansas, or the Queen Elizabeth, is getting help from everybody else, but the Kansas is about to die, gets another shot off, doesn't kill him. This is insane. The Queen lives, and the Kansas dies. It's just silly. Anyway, let's take a look at the scoreboard. We did die relatively early-ish in the game, yet we took top spot. So there's a look at the Amalfi for you. Oh, that was such a strange match. I don't know if I'm going to ever get that opportunity again, but I had to show it. It was just too good to pass up. Anyway, like, share, subscribe, comment below. We are actually approaching near the end. We got the Brindisi next, which I got to be honest, I haven't played it yet, but I've got it really close to being unlocked. Still working on getting everything, so I'm going to be taking care of that this weekend. Captains, you enjoy your weekend. We'll talk to you guys later. This is the USS Endeavor, signing off.